Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. And what an evening it's been, Norma. We can't even get on the air. Apparently, all kinds of issues. They're telling me that now we're on the air. Someone may have to confirm that. Miss Producer, are we on the air? She'll let me know. She says, because she can't talk. We have to pay her more money. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm Alex Parra. Beside me, running, only 16 minutes late. I'll blame you, Norma, in a little while, is Miss Norma Morales. Norma, good evening. How are you? And let's see if at least it's working on one of these platforms. I'm not really sure, Norma. We'll figure this out.
It looks like it's working on Facebook, so I think we should be good, Alex.
I hope so. It was working on
one
the
platform,
Twitter,
right.
but now the Twitter says it's not available. So I have no idea what's happening, Norma. The train wreck that is Deportes Nation tonight. How are you, Miss Norma?
I'm good, Alex. I'm good. I'm thinking I may have to have a conference call with our producer just to let them know.
Yes.
How this whole beginning has been. I mean, it's been about 20 minutes?
Oh, it's 16 to be exact. Only 16 minutes. I have no idea what's going on with this technology, Norma.
Oh, you're good, Alex. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Well, yeah, I don't blame you. It's time you gave me a hard time. Well, I think we were on the Twitter, Norma, but now the Twitter's decided to disappear. So we have two choices to start. At least we're on Facebook, right?
Twitter?
We are?
I have it.
Okay. I'm being told we're live on the Twitter, Norma. So
Okay.
I'm as excited as I get for my age. Norma, let's pretend none of this happened. How are you this evening? How is life? How are things?
Oh, good, Alex. It's been good. Tomorrow's Friday, weekend coming, so yeah, it's good.
Nothing much changes for me, Norma. I'm still stuck in this office 24/7. So I have no concept of what days are. During this whole COVID situation, Norma, literally days have run into weeks, have become now months. If you recall back, Norma, the last time we were out and about that I can remember was March, early March.
Yeah.
April, May, June, we came back to do a little bit of soccer. July now, kind of not so much. We'll see what August holds. But again, days into weeks, into months. It's like that movie Groundhog Day. Yeah? I'm not God, I'm a God. That's one of my favorite all-time lines, Norma.
Yeah, everything just runs in together. So
It
I
does.
hear you, Alex.
How are you feeling, Norma? You look great. Your color's back. You're not wearing hats, so I'm very happy. And what's going on with that? What shirt are you wearing today, Miss Norma?
Today,
What are you advertising?
I'm supporting A&M soccer.
Supporting Texas A&M. Any Aggies out there that are watching, Norma? I'm sure you're going to disappoint a lot of people by wearing that shirt.
You think so?
I know so. I know they're going to come in. They're going to come in heavy, Norma, pretty soon and say, "What was Norma thinking? What's wrong with that woman?" But you know what?
I'm just trying to show love, Alex. I'm just trying to show love to everybody.
To each their own. And you're right. You're showing some love. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of love back because there are a lot of Aggie fans, Norma.
Yeah,
out there.
I'm sure there is.
I would say they're cultish, but you know what? Most universities. The nasty notes are going to start, Norma. Now, this is where Uncle Alex always says, "How do I share?" And I'm going to try to figure that out. And maybe somehow Uncle Alex can get it right. Norma, what's on your menu this evening before we get going? What are you concerned about? COVID? You're concerned about sports? You're concerned about kids going back to school?
Yeah, that's the big hot topic right now, Alex, is figuring out.
The nasty notes are going to start, Norma. Now, this is where Uncle Alex always says, "How do I share?"
To hear more in regards to what our local districts are going to say, and I hear that some districts around our area are coming out so far what their plans are. So yeah, it's a waiting game at this point just to hear them.
And a little bit later on in the show, Norma, we're going to talk about some schools at the college university level, conferences that have already made decisions regarding at least the sports side of it, their competition. So it appears decision time is coming, Norma, for schools at the local level, at the state and national levels. And I think everyone's trying to evaluate. Also, in some parts of the country, Norma, COVID may not be as rampant as it is in others. And that's going to be one of the calculations that we have to go through. Well, let's get started. I'm being told that we're now ready to go, Norma. And starting with a little bit of MLS soccer. Last night, the MLS is back tournament kicking off, and we talked a little bit about this, the match between Orlando and Miami. Here are some match highlights that are going on. And Norma, beyond the pregame protests supporting Black Lives Matter, against racism, which also is obvious in my opinion, is a worthy cause. We saw some action on the field. The teams participating last night, and also a match this morning, by the way, and another match that's going on this evening, or took place this evening. It's great to see soccer back on the field. One of the comments, Norma, about what we're watching now, the highlights of the Orlando-Miami match, was that Adidas found a gray logo spot in the middle of the field. Obviously, that's superimposed. That's there for marketing reasons. And there has been some criticism, Norma. I frankly don't share that criticism. This is about getting back into it. Sponsors are an important part of the league, an important part of a lot of businesses. The MLS is a business. I don't see how someone could criticize that. People pulling out things like, oh, the FIFA rule says this or that. Our reality today, Norma, is that, you know what? It doesn't matter. It's about generating revenue and interest in the sport. I don't know if you agree with me.
Yeah, no, I agree, Alex. I mean, that's the whole part of, with all these sporting events. I mean, they get a lot of sponsorships. They pay these companies pay a lot of money to get their name out there, right? So it's just the whole part of the game. I don't see an issue why Adidas's name is in the center of the field. I mean, if they paid for it, why not? Right?
Sure.
That's what everybody else does. If they pay for it, they get what they get in regards to whatever package they get for sponsorship. So,
and actually, Norma, they're probably having to be a lot more creative these days. And what's interesting, Norma, and Enrique Vasquez and I earlier today in Deportes Nation al mediodía, en vivo al mediodía, we're talking about was the sports industry, Miss Norma. This is an industry that many of us are attached to. When we see sponsors participating and helping teams and leagues, that helps everybody, Norma, from broadcasters like I pretend to be, to the stadium personnel, to media outlets, to so many people in the production of broadcasts in English and in Spanish. Sports are an entire industry, Norma, and it makes people nervous to know that, oops, things may not start on time. Oops, there may not be football. Oops, there may not be basketball. So that is one of the first topics for this evening, Norma. Sports is an industry that we need in this country, like many other industries.
Yeah, no, I agree, Alex. And the thing in regards to, all these sponsors and marketing side of it, I mean, right now, how are these sports, of course, how are they going to get the rest of the money that they're losing right now off of ticket sales and concessions and all this other stuff, right?
Sure.
So I'm sure the only way they're not going to be able to supplement it all, but at least get something if they can advertise and get something in. And like what you said earlier, they're going to have to be creative. They're going to have to figure out ways. And I don't know, maybe those packages for those sponsors are a lot more higher than normal. I don't know, just for their name to get out there. But yeah, and of course, with all that, with sponsorships, and we all need sports, right? I know I do. I need it in my life every once in a while.
You need a lot of things, Norma, among them sports. That's not the only thing you need.
Yeah, that's not the only thing I need.
By the way, Miss Producer, why are you laughing? Our production cam, by the way, you get to see. By the way, you can see my duck in the picture, but that's Miss Producer Cam. Miss Producer, you doing okay? Give me a thumbs up on camera so that people can't pretend. That's her thumb. This is my thumb, just to be sure. All right.
Just to make sure you're not talking to yourself, right, Alex? Like you're not making it up.
Wait, that's not normal, Norma? The voices. I hear the voices again. They're all around me. The voices. I hear the voices. So, well, that's one aspect of the MLS returning, Norma, and we'll talk about different aspects of the business side. We did have some MLS updates. Beyond the scores last night, Miami beating Orlando 2-1. Those were the highlights we were showing you. Earlier this morning, yes, it was a 9 a.m. Eastern time kickoff. So, sorry, 7 a.m. 8 Central. 9 Eastern, if I can get that right. New York City FC playing Philadelphia, and Philadelphia Union with the 1-0, as they say, 1-0 victory. Tonight, another 1-0, New England beating the team from Montreal. And tomorrow, one game schedule, Seattle facing San Jose. So that's what's happening on the field. Off the field, Norma, really the bigger news, as I see it, is that another team has withdrawn officially, has been withdrawn, will not be participating in the MLS is Back competition. FC Dallas was already out, and now Nashville SC. They're a team that had several players also and staff members testing positive. So that's two teams not participating. Norma, there is now talk about whether or not MLS rushed to get back, rushed to be one of the first leagues, some arguably saying the first major sports league coming back. And we'll take that first. Do you think they hurry back, Norma? Are we now going to get more positive cases, and there may be more players and or teams that have to withdraw? Was this part of the calculation, you think?
Yeah, I mean, with numbers going up in regards to COVID, Alex, I mean, especially right now, it's the highest it's ever been, right? So is it a wrong time? Is it a bad time? Yeah, it probably is. But then again, when will those numbers decrease, and when will be the right time? Is it too soon? Maybe they could have waited another month. Maybe they could have waited another month just to see. Maybe the numbers would lower, and but it is what it is right now. It's already started, so they're into it at this point.
They're into it, and there's the positive and negative. I think every league, Norma, is going to eventually have to figure out that they may not be able to get through it intact, or get through it without any, I don't want to say collateral damage, that's too strong of a term, without any consequences. The consequences are that people are naturally going to test positive, and that's going to affect the people that are participating, in this case, two teams. But that's one of the criticisms, Norma. None of this reopening at any level, certainly at the sports level, is going to be perfect. It's just not going to be, and we all need to be flexible. We've been talking about that for days now.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's kind of like wildfire with this COVID. One gets it, then you have a higher chance that multiple people in your circle are going to wind up getting it. So,
by the way, how's your circle, Norma? How are you doing? How's your family? You guys are doing okay?
Yeah, we're doing good, Alex. Again, just counting down those days, marking my calendar until Monday comes along.
Do you X out, or do you check, Norma? You're Xing.
I'm Xing. This day's done. This day's done. So much more to go until Monday. I'm just really, to be honest with you, anxious for Monday, because I just want to get tested, myself and my husband, just to see where we're at. Because I want my kids back too. I want them to come back home and at least get semi-normal. Your kids
called Norma and said they want to stay away as much as possible.
I'm sure they did, Alex.
All six of your kids called today and said, "Please don't make me go back to that woman. Norma, I'm sharing because I care."
Oh, Alex, I'm sure they don't want to come out. The saddest part out of all this, Alex, to be honest with you, is that my daughter's birthday's tomorrow. And this is the first birthday she'll be 17. Aww. I've been at every birthday, and she's not going to be here. So,
I get that.
It's hard.
I get that.
But, she's with my family, of course.
But you'll never forget this. You'll never forget this birthday. You'll tell this story to your grandchildren. Well, you already have a couple, but your great-grandchildren.
I do not have any grandchildren, Alex. Okay. No, I'm not ready to be a grandma.
That's what your friends are commenting on the Facebook, Norma. I don't know. I don't pretend.
No, you do have daughters too, right, Alex? So you have daughters?
I have daughters. I have 3 children. My wife and I have had sex once, and she said I was so potent that she could space it out. That was the theory.
Oh,
so it's after 10. I can use jokes like that, right, Norma? No, too much? Miss Producer's not happy with that. She didn't like that joke. Yeah. What's wrong with that joke? You didn't like it? No. She said, now it's funny. Here's $20, honey. Thank you. Anyway, Norma, so I do feel a little bad, very, that you won't be with your daughter. But you know what? This is our reality, our new normal, as they say, Norma. We have to adjust and adapt to these things. So, I'm sure she's the only one of your 6 children that's missing you. The rest are mom who?
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, Norma, we showed you a little bit of the MLS action from last night. Yesterday also announced some video of the Dash versus New Jersey, the Houston Dash taking on Sky Blue, the team from New Jersey. And these are some of the highlights of that match. This tournament, of course, going on in Utah. And it's good to see, again, women's soccer and the development, Norma, of the Challenge Cup, as they call it, Utah 2020. What are you cringing about now?
I just the goal. I saw. I mean, I'm probably a little delayed. I just saw them.
Oh yeah,
New Jersey scored.
Yeah. Well, you've been a little delayed in general, Norma. And as we watch these highlights, the first goal, it was a beautiful goal. The second goal that we'll watch here in a few seconds, Norma. The second goal that was scored against Houston. I have to say it was just a total goalkeeper mistake. Jane Campbell coming out. And you can see how she didn't time the release of the ball very well, and she just gave basically an opening to the New Jersey team. It's you'll see it here in just a second. Jane Campbell, a great goalkeeper, one of the captains, by the way, for this Houston Dash team, and it was New Jersey's night. In a few minutes, we're going to hear actually from Rachel Daly, the other co-captain of the Dash, talking about how this wasn't their night. Here's the play we're talking about. Jane Campbell coming all the way outside her box and just leaving the ball, Norma, to the feet of the player from New Jersey. And obviously, a sky blue goal. And it's those moments when the goalkeeper has to make a decision. But look how far out she was. And great play. That led to that goal. So it's a little bit painful. Some of us that follow the NWSL and also the Houston Dash, but that's the way it goes sometimes. By the way, that second goal scored by Naomi Kawasumi. Just for me to get that right. That was a pretty goal, actually. The player reacting really, really well. So that was what happened inside the field. Why don't we take a listen to Dash captain Rachel Daly talking about last night's performance?
It wasn't a good enough performance from us tonight collectively, from front to back to front, everywhere. I don't think the press was as effective in the second half. I think we narrowed off a little bit. We came a little bit more compact and tidied up in that area. But collectively as a whole, it wasn't good enough from us tonight.
And what do you feel was missing in that final third?
I think it was everywhere on the field. I don't think we were sharp enough. I think we had an off day. It happened. But the good thing is we've got a game in 3 days, a really important game for us to bounce back to. And, it's a tough game. Sky Blue played really well. I think they posed a really big threat to us. And, we weren't, I don't think we were prepared for that. And, it was an off day for us, but we got to bounce back for Saturday.
And you dropped deep a lot today to pick up the ball. Was that part of the plan or just a way of trying to get more involved?
A bit of both, I think. They were stepping quite high. I think there was more chances in behind, but we weren't able to play them. I think it got a little bit frustrated when I get on the ball a little bit more. I tend to drop in, but I think a bit of a game plan, bit of both really.
And obviously, we've seen a very strong start in the tournament from Houston. Do you think a game like this was the best thing that could happen before we head into those knockout rounds?
Potentially, yeah. I think it's not good to get comfortable. I think we've had 2 really good games and 1 not so good game. And I say Washington are going to pose a completely different threat. They're a fantastic team, and I think we need to bounce back from this and keep our bubble tight and our group close knit and push on and hopefully win on Saturday.
Well, thanks so much, Rachel.
Thank you.
There you hear Rachel Daly talking a little bit about the team really collectively and just not being good enough last night against Sky Blue FC and looking forward to the next match. The next match for Houston, by the way, will be versus Washington. July 12th, someone help me out. Was that a Friday night, Norma? I have no idea what day it is today. So if someone can help me out. The 12th, that's on Sunday, by the way. So there you go. That's how lost Uncle Alex is. But women's soccer back, men's soccer back, Norma. Other sports trying to get back into the groove, if you will. And just today, more announcements from different conferences, Norma. As we mentioned last night, the conference known as the Ivy League, Norma, yesterday announcing that they would not be playing fall sports. That was an announcement made yesterday. The Ivy League schools says what you see on screen now, Harvard, Yale, other schools like Columbia, Penn, etc. They're not returning. And the pattern now, Norma, seems to be that other schools are going to be following similar patterns. and not necessarily not having a season, but limiting their season. Usually, teams will play, at least in most competitive sports, they'll play within their conference and then play some non-conference games, and that's usually exciting. What we're seeing now is the move toward, you know what? If we play, we're going to stay within our bubble, within our conference. I frankly don't know what difference that may or may not make, Norma, to COVID and to the medical side of this. But as you can tell, little by little, people, entities, divisions, leagues, teams, schools are having to make decisions, Norma. And it appears we're running out of time, and decisions have to come. And most so far are leaning toward being more conservative and either eliminating fall play or limiting it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and maybe they're looking at it too. Maybe they're limiting some of their travel as well, Alex. That's, what I'm thinking, to kind of, not put them in a situation where they're traveling, of course, in more of the bunch, of course, to be more exposed for their players with COVID.
But what's the logic behind that, Norma? That going across the street is okay, but going to Texas isn't? I guess that's the logic. But
yeah, I mean, if you think about it, they are either traveling by plane or by bus, right? And I'm trying to remember, I don't know if it was a clip that you showed, Alex, or something I watched where, instead of a team, and I can't remember who it was, and I apologize, but instead of them taking like one big bus, they basically took 2 or 3 buses and divided it so that the players were spaced out, et cetera. And it kind of eliminated that, the big group, I should say, of them being together to having that higher risk of getting COVID. So, and again, it comes to cost as well, Alex. I mean, you got to think about it too. They've got a certain budget that they've got to meet. So, taking 3 buses or taking separate flights, I mean, that's going to cost, of course, money. So maybe that's just a way for them to, I guess, a solution for now, I should say.
Well, Norma, there is no doubt in my mind that it's not only the health side. The health side comes with preventative costs. With, like you said, if you're used to 1 bus and now you have to use 2 or 3, it's greater cost involved. And if your sport is not generating revenue or your school is not generating revenue, the question is, well, what do we do? Also yesterday, let's say in the past couple of days, maybe it was 2 days ago, Stanford University making the decision that they would be eliminating 11 sports programs or sports moving forward. And in part, Norma, one of the explanations from Stanford University, the Cardinal, was the financial side, that some of these sports, not so popular sports, not so well-known sports like football and basketball and I would dare say soccer, and Tiger Woods, by the way, attended Stanford University, so their golf program is well known. But these smaller sports, Norma, are becoming more of a weight, a burden on, if you will, the university. So the financial side of this, again, keeps rearing its ugly head, and that has to be one of the calculations, Norma, in anything. Even schools, Norma, as schools reopen, and some schools, you were mentioning this to me earlier in our long technical wait this afternoon, that local school district in Houston has decided to go remotely. But Norma, there's cost involved, because if you go remotely, you've got to make sure that every child has access to the internet and has access in some way with a tablet, with a computer to learn. So it's expensive.
Yeah, I mean, it is expensive, Alex. And even where I went to school at St. Edward's University, I had gotten some emails from them.
Where's St. Edward's University? What is their mascot, Norma?
The goat.
Wait, hold on. Say that one more time slowly and in English. The what?
The goat.
The goat?
The goat.
One goat or multiple goats?
Well, I mean, the goats. The goat. It's a goat.
Okay.
It's a goat.
St. Edward's goats. Norma, I did not know that, but now it explains a lot of things about you. So you were the St. Ed's Cabritos, basically?
Yeah, it's the topper. Yes, yeah, the mascot's called Topper because St. Edward's is on a huge hill, right? Have you ever been there, Alex?
Actually, I have driven by there. I've never actually been on campus, but I have driven by there. It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful school. Yeah. So yeah, it's a goat. That's their mascot.
Okay. Let's move on, Norma. You were saying.
I mean, Oh, so anyway, so they actually cut out some sports within their organization to cut cost, and I think a lot of schools are doing that. And then going back to what you're saying in regards to public schools and all that, yeah, that's going to take cost of technology to make sure that their students are getting the technology that they need. And, that's also cutbacks. Maybe that's what St. Edward said. Maybe they cut back on certain sports that probably needed to be cut back because they're trying other avenues, trying to figure out what they're going to do with the students for educational purposes.
Norma,
So,
I
don't
know.
know.
Yeah, well, I know one thing, that Washington is going to eventually change that Redskin nickname. St. Edwards has to change that goat thing. I don't think anyone is intimidated by the goats. So I did
Tomorrow,
learn something tonight.
I'm going to have to wear my St. Edward shirt. It's got a goat on it. Yeah.
Really? Now, does a goat have a cute name like Gabby the goat, or what is the goat's name, Norma?
No, Topper. Topper. I said that earlier. Topper.
Topper the goat.
The hilltop. St. Ed's is on the hilltop, and it's called the Topper the goat.
Yeah. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We learned something tonight. I did not know that, Norma. I did not know the whole story about Topper the goat at St. Edward's University, but well, it's still a beautiful campus, right, Norma?
Oh,
It
yeah,
hasn't
it's a
changed.
beautiful campus.
It hasn't been
Oh, yeah.
polluted.
And
And you were there
actually,
what, 7 years to get your bachelor's? That's not bad, Norma.
It's taken a while. So, hey, I got it, right? Well, not my master's, but
You
still.
got it. Norma, I was on the 8-year plan for my undergrad, so no problem with that. No problem with that. As we talk about this, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? Are leagues opening too soon, too early? Specifically the MLS. I've read several critiques in the last day or two, Norma, about that. The MLS should have taken their time. I think it's like anything else. We're going to have to risk, and we're going to have to take a step at a time and figure it out a little bit at a time and kind of feel it through. Norma, another sound I want you to hear, and maybe you can watch it as well. Listen to this. Okay. Ready? Here we go. This is, wow, a swing at Minute Maid Park today where the Houston Astros were having an inter-squad scrimmage. And I'm not a big or huge baseball fan, but it was nice to hear the ball making contact, and the boys, I'll call them the boys, well, I'm an old man, the boys running out there, Norma, and getting back to business. The Stros are back, Norma, at least they're preparing for what will be the start of the season. It is nice. It's something we missed.
Yeah, it is nice. Yeah, and baseball's a little different, just because they're spaced out. So it's a little different than your soccer and your football and your basketball, where there's a lot more contact. So yeah, no, I'm excited for baseball. I'm excited, especially with the Astros.
Yeah, you a big Astros fan, Norma? Who's your favorite Astro player of all time?
Oh, all time.
All time. Jose Cruz, Norma? No.
Clemens.
Roger Clemens.
Roger Clemens.
Wow.
I would say Roger Clemens.
Yeah, Roger the Dodger Clemens. Yeah, I am excited also to see again all these sports getting back, and they're gonna have to overcome some adversity, and there'll be the need for flexibility. But Norma, in a way, that is going to teach and guide a lot of us. And I believe the MLS and the NWSL as being one of the first leagues. I hope that other leagues like the NBA, like Major League Baseball, are watching and listening. What's ironic, Norma, this is interesting, and Enrique Vasquez pointed this out today during our earlier show. Orlando is the site where the MLS is playing. They've had two teams, apparently, that are now not participating, and it's exactly in that city where the NBA will soon be starting to play, and players are starting to arrive and get there. So here we go in Florida, where there's a high rate of COVID positive testing. That's the place where the MLS and the NBA are going to kick this off. Plans have been made, money has been spent. I get it.
Yeah.
It would be very difficult at this point to say, let's not continue. But it is ironic that in this location, we're about to see how things shape up. And as far as that goes, the NBA is next. and all the challenges that come with that. I'm
Yeah.
also looking forward to watching the Rockets, our local team, back in action, Norma. Just showing a little bit of the highlights of some of the things that we miss, courtesy NBA and NBA TV. But I'm looking forward to having the Rockets back out there. Again, what's strange, like with the MLS, Norma, is though we won't have stadiums full of people. It'll be like a pickup game. And you mentioned this last night from watching the MLS match, that it was like a Sunday scrimmage.
Yeah, for me, it was just watching a scrimmage. It was kind of like watching a, oh God, this is probably, and it's nothing bad, but like watching a high school game, watching, where there's not many people there. It's just enough. And it's not where you get that vibe of, thousands of people in one stadium,
Sure.
So yeah, but like I said yesterday, Alex, I'm just glad some of the sports is back. We're not watching reruns of past matches, and it's fresh new matches that are happening actually now. But yeah, I'm just hoping that with all this, especially with everybody being so close and things like you said in Orlando, it's a hot spot just like Texas with COVID. So hopefully all those players are safe and healthy.
Norma, by the way,
That's the biggest thing.
we can't see your shirt, which is perfect. That way we can't be looking at the lettering. Yeah, now that you sit back, yeah, there you go. No, let's just pretend that's not happening. I'm sure we have some Aggie fans that are watching. And speaking of that, Norma, I wanted to mention Texas A&M because the stadium in College Station it's just a remarkable building that over the past couple of years has been refurbished. It's a beautiful place to watch sports. It's like the major football stadiums. Even if, and let's just hope that it does happen, teams come back and start playing in these huge stadiums, it's just not going to be the same, is it? It'll be like a practice, and we can get excited about it as much as possible, but it just isn't quite the same yet. I'm going to ask you a more philosophical, long-term question, Norma. Do you think that one day we will get back to stadiums full of people, or has our viewing experience really changed forever?
No, I think one day we'll get back to Alex. One day, it may not be this year. I'm hoping next year. I'm hoping sooner than later, I should say, but I think at one point we'll be back to being at the stadiums, and then enjoying the sport like we have always enjoyed it and, before. So
it just isn't the same, right? I mean,
No.
a touchdown celebrated by 3 or 4 or 5 people. In football, obviously, it'd be more than that. But even the MLS, watching the goals scored. By the way, the censor, really hitting that censor button a couple of times now with the beep you and you son of a beep. It was really something we have to be aware of. They want to put more microphones at the field level, but you've got to be careful what people are saying, right?
Alex, I didn't really care too much to be able to really listen to the players. I felt like I listened more to the players. It was kind of hard, not hard, but you weren't able to really listen to the commentators because, you're listening to the commentators, but then you hear the players, and it was just too much. I say the less of the players, listening to them talk, I think the better.
I'm a commentator, Norma, or pretend to be, so I like to think that people don't mute the button, don't hit the mute button while we're talking. But there is something to be said. I will tell you on the other side, and you're knowledgeable of soccer, Norma. I know this. Sometimes it's good to listen as a coach, Norma, and I also, believe it or not, pretend to be a coach. It's great to listen because it makes you think about the involvement some coaches have. Some coaches are literally, go play, guys, I'll talk to you at halftime. And others are constantly involved in the management of the game, if you will, making adjustments. And it's interesting also the language and the language barrier. Some teams, I heard, English and Spanish being spoken because that's the way things work. So, and I've heard this from a lot of players, especially in the United States. You've got to know both languages because in the heat of the moment, those 2 languages are used. So that's something new and unique that you don't really think of until you start listening to the players. What are they doing?
Right.
How are they communicating? One of the big things I preach, Norma, to all the kids that I coach is communicate. You can do it verbally, you can do it with signs, you can do it, but communicate. And you really, without the crowd, see and listen to, hear more than anything, how much communication goes on the field.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is,
I think we lost Miss Norma. She's regenerating or something like that. Yeah, there we go. Whoa, we've definitely had a show full of technical issues. Miss Norma, are you back? I think the technical gremlins are affecting us. Well, we had a great show without you, Norma. Thank you for being with us. Have a good night.
like I was saying, Alex, I mean, when you're watching, soccer at home, I mean, you really don't hear a lot of the players as much as, these last games, of course. So again, that's just my opinion. I just felt like it was a little too much. It's okay when I'm there live. It's just on TV. It's just different. I think it was a little too much.
You mean you missed the crowd? You missed
I miss
noise,
like the crowd, the noise. It's either you hear a little bit and then it kind of fades and it goes into the commentating, and then you'll hear a little bit and then it fades and it goes into the commentating. I'm used to that when you're watching something live,
right?
And I understand when you're there live, you hear it. It's just I'm just used to it on the TV on how it's done.
I miss
maybe I'm being diva about it.
You are. I miss Topper the goat, the mascot, being on the field, Norma. That's what I miss. Can you get me a picture of Topper? Maybe our production staff will find a picture of Topper the goat. But if that's really real, Norma, I don't know what to say. I'm still formulating my opinion about that. Norma, they're telling me it's time to move on to our top 5. Or we call it the top cinco of the night. And Norma, tonight's category is top 5 female athletes. So we're trying to give women their due. And why don't we start with you, Norma? As a woman, as far as I know, you get the honors of giving us your top 5 female athletes of all time. Ms. Norma Morales, take it away.
Okay, so I'll start with number 5. My number 5 is Miss Cheryl Swoops.
Swoops, there it is.
Exactly. She was one of the first that when I first moved to Houston, Alex, I was able to see one of the games when she played with the Houston Comets.
Houston Comets, wow. Not the Goats, but the Comets. That's pretty good.
The Comets. She's a great player, Alex. I mean, when I think of women's basketball, I think of her. She's all time. She's been inducted actually in the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. And, she's also, talking about Texas Tech, she also was an assistant coach at Texas Tech.
She was. Guns up, whatever.
Yeah. So just so you'll know. And then 4, I'll have to go with Megan Rapinoe.
I call her Rapinoe. I guess I messed up that name.
You butcher her name all the time. She was named best FIFA Women's Player, Alex, in 2019. Of course, as the captain of the national team. I like her. She speaks her mind too.
Oh, she speaks her mind, Norma. There's no doubt about that.
She does. I like her as a player and as a person. Number 3, you know me. I got to put Jenny Fusion.
Jenny Fusion, USA boxer.
Yeah, USA boxer. I love her. She's a great athlete. One thing I love about her.
I'm kidding.
One thing I do love about her, Alex, is she's going for that goal for the Olympics, of course, with all the struggles that she has with OCD. She's open in regards to it. Someone that's having to go through that and then having to get the gold. I tell you, that's for me, that's a great role model. That's someone who really shows people that you can get whatever you want as long as you work for it. So that's why she's on my top 3. Number 2, Ronda Rousey.
The actress, combat MMA wrestler lady.
Yeah, she's one of the first UFC fighters, Alex, and great fighter. What I loved about her, of course, is she was tough. She talked a lot of smack, and then came in 2015 when she lost with Holly Holmes. She brought it though, Norma.
I mean, I would not even think about messing with those ladies. I give up here. Take me.
It's a tough sport, Alex. Who wants to get banged up like that?
No, not I, Norma.
Not at my age. Not me. So yeah, it should be my number 2. And by the way, if you ever want to see a documentary, watch her documentary on Netflix. Okay. It's a great documentary about her. And number 1, you can't go wrong with Marta.
Yeah, she doesn't need the Vieira da Silva. We don't need that. It's just Marta, right? Like Madonna, just one name.
It's like Messi. Like she's just Marta. That's it. She's the women version of Messi, right?
Anybody you missed off your list? Let me give you mine, and then we'll see if there was any honorable mention, because there's just so many, Norma, that it really makes it difficult. So Let me give you mine, Norma, my top cinco female athletes of all time. And you're going to notice a pattern here. Number 5, Martina Navratilova. To me, Martina, Norma, in the 70s and 80s, dominated tennis. And she did it without apologizing. She was ahead of the curve in preparing mentally and physically, in not diet as far as dieting, but being aware of her nutrition. And also on her personal life, Norma, she was a champion for equal rights, to say, look, this is who I am, and that's who I am, period. And I'm the best female tennis player in the world, and accept it and deal with it. It's your problem, not mine. And I love that attitude about Martina, and of course what she did at Wimbledon, and obviously winning in many other Grand Slams. Number 4, to me, golfer Lorena Ochoa. Lorena is a Hall of Famer, but she really didn't continue playing, Norma. Out of Mexico, Lorena Ochoa won for many years in the PGA. She dominated, and then at the ripe age, I think late 20s, said, enough's enough, thank you. I've got other things I want to accomplish in my life. So I give her a lot of credit coming from Mexico and balancing her athletic career and also her family life and the expectation of women within certain cultures. And that's a whole other discussion. Number 3, I went with soccer here, Norma. And here we do agree. Marta, and to me, Carly Lloyd. I see Carly Lloyd because at the U.S. level, along with Alex Morgan, and there are other players that have really made a difference and have been inspirational to so many young people. And not only the young ladies, but young people in general, and saying, if they're doing it, if they're sacrificing, if they're working hard, why can't I? Number 2, Serena Williams. Serena Williams, arguably the best women's tennis player of all times. She and her sister, of course, Venus, dominating tennis for many years. But Serena, with her consistency, with her focus, and she's got good and bad moments. We've all seen that. Now that she's a mother, also giving her perspective in life. And that's one of the things that happens, Norma, with many female athletes. They have to either put their career on hold or adjust to having children, if that's the path they choose. Serena, my number 2, and my number 1, Billie Jean King. Pioneer in everything, from taking on men and saying, you know what, I can do it, I will do it, and beating Bobby Riggs at the Astrodome, Norma. It was a huge event, the battle of the sexes, but it was much more than that. It was also fighting for equality as far as women's sports went. Billie Jean King worked hard to say, you know what, why are men earning 10 times as much as we are, and we're doing the same exact thing? Why can't we get to the point where we're equal? So to me, it wasn't only the performance, the statistics, the numbers. It was much more than that. And women, Norma, have had it rough. It isn't just about how much they can perform in their sport. It's about all this other stuff that comes with being a woman. So that's why I give Billie Jean King a big credit. But who did we miss, Norma? Who did we forget in this list?
Well, first of all, I didn't know we could put, if there's a tiebreaker. I mean,
Miss Producer said I could do that, so.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's not fair, because I could have I wanted actually to add Carly Lloyd too, but I
of course you did after she saw my list.
No.
Whatever, Norma.
I mean, there's so many, Alex. There's so many different,
look. There's several. In the world of tennis and golf, Norma. You look at Chris Evert Lloyd. Chris Evert, who was also very dominant in the world of soccer, in the world of track and field, Flojo, if you can remember Flojo. There's so many gymnasts. Nadia Comaneci, Norma, the Romanian young lady who really took everybody by storm in the late 70s. There are so many women that have been pioneers in sports. So 5, I know, is difficult, but I think that this is a good sample, if you will, of what women are able to do. What's interesting, Norma, is the development of sports. As you can say, I'm kind of old school. I was really limiting myself to golf, tennis, I guess traditional sports for women. But you brought up combat sports, boxing, MMA. A lot more women now are participating in those sports, and that's good.
Yeah, and Alex, it's more the tougher sports now. You've got CrossFit, you've got, bodybuilding, you've got all these sports that, initially were more male dominant, and
Sure.
now the women have came in to prove that they can do the same thing in that sport. So,
Who's your favorite
yeah.
women bodybuilder, Norma? I'm not into bodybuilding, as you can obviously
Oh.
tell. But because you pointed out a great documentary, and I started watching a little bit of it about this. I went blank on the gentleman's name. Please help me out. It was your top five
Oh gosh,
sports documentary.
now you're making me blank on what I know you're talking about.
We'll get it right. But female bodybuilders, Norma. I mean, working and fitness and CrossFit. These are sports. This is hard dedication and focus and discipline.
Yeah, and CrossFit's not easy, Alex, and there's a documentary also, if you ever want to know what these athletes go through, there are documentaries on Netflix about CrossFit. I mean, it's a tough sport. I've done it, for exercise and loved it. Try to get back into it. I huff and puff, but it takes a while for your body to get used to that kind of training. But it's a great sport and it's tough, especially you're out in the heat. You're not, majority of those CrossFitters do not train they may some in air condition, but majority train outside because when they do competition, it's outside. It's not an inside. Some of it is, but majority is outside as well.
It's outside. We were talking earlier about Ronnie Coleman, if I'm not mistaken.
Ronnie Coleman. I don't know why I went so blank on his name.
Again,
Ronnie Coleman.
But I started watching a little bit, and again, we can argue, Norma, whether or not performance enhancing drugs are justifiable. But even with the usage of those substances, Norma, you still have to put in the work and the sacrifice. Yeah. And what I'm finding now at my age, Norma, and I played soccer to a certain level. I'm certainly not going to tell you I played at the highest level possible. But your body takes a toll. And as you get older, you realize, wow, all that stuff I could do and I could do very easily, now I physically cannot do. My body is suffering the consequences of jumping around, diving, whatever we did. And my point is, with athletes like Ronnie Coleman, you see that his level and what he wanted to attain had a consequence. It's a choice. It's a choice people make. How many NFL players, how many boxers, Norma, when they get older, they get to be old like Uncle Alex over here, are seeing the toll, let's put it that way,
right?
That sports have taken on them, and I guess that's logical, right? It's going to happen. The motors run enough hours, it's not going to be the same.
Yeah, no, it's true, Alex. And that's why that Ronnie Coleman documentary is so good to watch, especially if you're in sports and you're going to hardcore right now. It definitely tells you the ending story of what your body has, especially with Ronnie Coleman, like what you said, what he's gone through and where he's at now. And I don't say consequences, but what at the end of it, of all the training, what his body is now having to go through at this point. Sure. But Alex, we did get some comments. Do you want to read those comments? Can you see those, or would you like me to read them?
Let me see. Delia Martinez said China as maybe her top 5 female athlete. And may she rest in peace, by the way. But my understanding of China's story, Norma, is that she lived in a time when, as a wrestler, and my knowledge of her life is that she was really marginalized in many ways. She was used to a certain point, but marginalized and not helped. And that's part of what a family, I think, should do in sports. We need each other in the good times and the bad times. And I think many of the sports and NFL players have said this, that they feel abused and they feel that, hey, I was taken advantage of. We can have that conversation, but that's a good one. Ivan Gonzalez, and Ivan, thanks for watching. Honorable mentions, Nastya Lyakin, a gymnast, if I'm not mistaken, Maria Sharapova, tennis player, Mia Hamm, Abby Wambach, and Shawn Johnson. Those are all great top 5 female athletes, or top 10, top 20, top 30. The reason we chose, one of the reasons we chose, and Ivan and Delia, thank you very much for chiming in, we chose this category was because, Norma, we see the need for more exposure even today to women's sports. There's a lot going on. I get it with our reassessment of a lot of things. I think sports need to reassess the role of women, the importance of women, the equal pay needed for women. It's just the way it is. Norma, for many years we would, and I was blessed to cover tennis. It was just accepted. The men's purse, if you will, and purse, a funny word, the men's prize money was $1 million. Oh, and the women, by the way, will split 100,000. And it was just, oh, by the way, it's just accepted. It's just the way it is. It's not as hard for them as for the men. And then the argument became, well, they don't generate as much revenue as the men. And when that didn't work, it was, well, only some women are known, others aren't. It should be, this is the prize money, this is the way it is, and entities, be it tournaments, be it organizations, should fight for that equality, Norma. I think I'm still shocked to this day, Norma, that forget sports, in the corporate world, and you live this, Norma, and I don't know if you personally lived it, that women are still paid less, and it's just accepted. Oh, well, she's got a husband, it's okay. I don't understand that thinking.
Yeah. I was going to say something, but I probably shouldn't say it. But,
Should say it and name names, Norma. Name names, Norma. I'm taking notes. Go ahead. Go off on someone.
No, I was, and I caught myself, so I'm not going to say it. Because I used to be in the corporate world, and no.
Come on, Norma. If you talked about the GOAT today, you can go off on someone in the corporate world.
No,
I'm taking notes, Norma. I'm ready.
No, I'm not. So, Alex, it's true. It's a price. There's a salary difference, I should say, when it comes to men and women and a lot of things, especially sports, and that's what I was, saying yesterday, Alex, with MLS, you can watch them on, I can't even remember what channel, but then with the women's.
The MLS match was on ESPN, Norma.
ESPN, okay. And then with the women's WSL, you could not see them. You got to pay for it. And
it's on CBS All Access, yes.
Yes, I was a little upset about that when we talked about it yesterday, because I'm like, I get it. I mean, maybe that's just a way for them to get money, but I'm sure they will get a lot more support if it was probably on ESPN, just like the men's soccer, to get people to support it. So, yeah, just a little upset about it, Alex.
Well, I'll give you my take, Norma. And by the way, we're running a little bit over time today because we started a little bit late. So we're going to give you that extra bonus of Deportes Nation. Even if you didn't want it, you're getting it. Norma, part of this is also, for instance, even now, organizations, entities like Amazon putting pressure on the Washington NFL franchise to change their nickname. That they do that economically. There now needs to be, from the corporate world, a policy where it says, look, if we're going to get behind a certain event or team or league, these are the minimum standards we require. They have a voice by paying for that voice. That's one way to do it. And the other aspect, Norma, is education, and also for us as a society to tell our young ladies, our producers, and everyone else, look, you are equal to. That world does not exist anymore. It existed. It was there where you were dependent on your husband. You were lucky to get married. Again, I still can't believe, Norma, some of the things that I heard when I was younger. And it went both ways. I grew up in Mexico, Norma, where I was told you don't really go in the kitchen. My grandmothers were great cooks. I wish I would have learned from them and not have this separation based on someone's idea of gender. That those days are gone, and I'm glad that little by little, maybe we need to get there faster, Norma, as you speak about your daughter turning 17 soon, that her world will be different than yours, and hopefully she won't be a goat.
Yeah. And one thing that my dad has, well, he taught me when I was young, and he says, you know what, you never depend on anybody. And that's what I teach my daughter. Sure. Don't depend on anybody. Not even, a man or anyone, whatever. You got to do you. That's what I've learned. And so luckily, that's what I took that and I did what I needed to do.
And here you are on the Deportes Nation.
Here I am.
What a successful story. Poor Norma.
Can't get better than this. But you know what I mean? I mean, Alex, the thing is, honestly, like, I've had my own career. I was in corporate world, and done with it. I've already made my money that I wanted to make, etc.
Wow. Can you send us some, please, Norma?
Yeah, I'm just blessed to be able to be on the show, of course. But, again, if I ever had to live on my own, I would be able to do that. I don't have to depend on anyone. So.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm calling her husband now. She doesn't. No. I like the word, Norma, and as we wrap up, they're telling me we got to go soon, but as they wrap up, husband, wife, I love the term partner, Norma. If anyone's going to be in our lives and be with us, they have to be a partner, an equal partner.
Yeah.
In what we do to complement us, to make us better, to push us to be better, and not dependent one way or another. And I believe, genuinely believe that as time goes by, the advice you receive from your father that you're passing on to your daughter of being independent, standing up for yourself, chasing your own dreams, those things are important and necessary. Versus, I hope you marry rich, honey, because that's your only way out of here. That's that's what I was told, Norma, and luckily I did marry rich. It's the only reason I'm here.
But that's what we have to teach the kids. I mean, like I said, if they've got the dreams, whatever, if they want to do, they just go for it. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter, again, going back to the sports, Alex, going back to anything, it doesn't matter if you think it's a male dominant or a female dominant. If you feel that if the child feels that they can do it, go for it. They shouldn't hold them back.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Norma. Well, listen, they're telling us we got to go a little bit overtime today. We apologize for the technical difficulties at the top of the show. We will shoot someone soon and we'll get that rectified. Norma, yes, go ahead.
You want to read the last comments?
Dalia from Mexico says, saludos Norma y Alex, excelente. Dalia, gracias por acompañarnos, realmente lo apreciamos. I think she's down in the Villahermosa, Tabasco area, Norma, so I'm excited. Okay. We've gone international tonight, hon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where's our bell?
There you go. We need the bell. I think the whole talk about, what's his name? Chummy the goat? Chummy? Topper. Sorry. Tomorrow you've got two things, Norma. You owe me on Friday night your jersey, your Hakeem Olajuwon jersey.
Yes, I forgot.
And I want you to hold up a picture of Topper the clown, Topper the goat. Sorry.
No, I have a St. Edward's shirt. Maybe I'll wear it. It has the goat on there.
Don't threaten us like that, Norma. Don't hate.
Appreciate, Alex.
Don't
Come
hate.
on.
Appreciate. I agree with you, Norma. Life is too short to hate. We need more love in the world. Norma, it's been a pleasure, like always. Thank you for putting up with me, and thank you for making this show so much better. Norma, I'll let you guide us out of here. And Delia Martinez, by the way, says good night. Blessings to you both. Have a great night. I'll be dreaming of Alex and having nightmares about Norma and her goat. That's what I said.
I think it's no, really.
No, maybe I'm
no.
Wrong. No, okay. Maybe a little too much. Tomorrow night, Norma, join us live at 10 or 10:15, depending on how Alex works the board.
Let's hope tomorrow, you don't have any issues. And by the we're just putting it on record that it's not me that we were delayed. I was ready to go.
Norma was ready and looking the best all week. Your lighting is perfect tonight.
On the other screen, I don't know which way it is, but it was their fault.
It was their fault. Ms. Norma, it's been a pleasure. I'll let you take us home, Norma. Say good night, please.
Okay. Good night, everyone. We hope to see everyone tomorrow. Have a good night.